Okay, hi everybody, welcome to the Global Event Success Webinar. And this one I'm bringing Daniel, the CEO of Eonia Group. Daniel has spent decades and decades in the event industry and has rich insights and experiences. So this is a very unscripted webinar. We wanted to keep it simple, insightful, and kind of thought-provoking for Daniel to share various experiences that he has gathered for more than 15 years across the world, especially Southeast Asia, Europe, and many parts of the world that Daniel has played key roles in various organizations and various capacities that on his own and in his individual capacity and also with various companies that and associations that he has worked. So over to Daniel to talk about a little bit about himself, and then we're going to go through his presentation and we will have Q&A during this session. And at the end of the webinar, you have 8 to 10 minutes. Please feel free to ask specific questions how event experiences are going to be the key driving force for the world to bring differentiation in how you host events and execute it. So over to Daniel.
Thank you, Santosh. So you're right in saying I have decades and decades. It's close to 2 decades, actually. First of all, thank you for bringing all of us together, Santosh. So a big thanks to you, to Explara. And you have shared some of my experience. I have been in the brand experience, experiential marketing, advertising, communications industry since 2002. So it's a whole range of experiences that I've been very privileged to bring to my clients, to their clients. In the course of these years, I have been a trainer as well for the industry. I've been a speaker at various fora around the world. I've helped develop courses on events management, and I'm a corporate coach trained person, which means that I also bring some of that mindset into the event experience, which is, I think, for me, it's a higher evolution of the event experience. I'm also into app development for the MICE industry, primarily to solve some of the pain points. I think we're all aware that talent is a continuing challenge. So technology helps, of course, reduce some of those challenges. I've delivered solutions globally, and my industry experience has been quite broad, thanks to the nature of my work in agency. So from the automobile industry all the way to not-for-profit sectors. So that has been my experience to date. So thank you for bringing us together to talk about transformative event experiences, Santosh. So if with your permission, shall we jump straight into the topic?
Yeah, I'm very, very keen on this, webinar because the world is already moving, as you mentioned about the world is already moving from a commodity to experiences. We are all entering an experiences economy per se, and just hosting an event without bringing a differentiation, without bringing a feeling and how you do it is not going to help you. So yeah, let's start. Let's hear your presentations.
Brilliant. Let's do it. Well, first of all, I think we need to define what transformative means. To some people, the word transformative brings to mind robots, right? Transformers. And then we talk about, sometimes people think transformative means a before and after state, especially when, very physically applied, as you can see, before and after. Some people think of transformative as being something that evolves you. In this case, I've used the image of a chrysalis to a butterfly. So what, to us, transformative ultimately should engender would be a change in mindset. And not just the mindset alone, but the mindset that can bring about positive change that is tangible. That's positivity, that's productivity, lifestyle changes, sustainability. The list can go on. So these are all positive attributes depending on what the client wishes to deliver, wishes us to help them facilitate and to create. So we see every event as very much an opportunity for such a transformative experience. And the key thing, the most important thing is to start with the intention, because in the course of my experience, not every client wishes or thinks about such an experience. And it's very much the role of the professional planner to engage them with such a conversation first. Start with the intention. Yeah. So I'm not sure if you agree with this, Santosh,
Yeah, no,
so
I think
far.
fantastic point. As you just now mentioned, the client might not be aware of it, but it's the planner, who would come up with a creative thoughts, because it involves a lot of money that is going to go into execution. So unless the planner comes with a very creative thought and how it's going to transform it, it's going to be a little waste of time, money, and an opportunity that was right there. Yeah, great points.
Indeed. So starting with the intention, and if the client does not have a clear intention, which sometimes happens, again, as a professional planner, try to draw it out of the client and maybe even sit with one of their end clients. We can conduct focus groups as well, because ultimately the people that we are engaging can be anything from 30 to 300 to even more people. So knowing what some of them are looking out for would be very helpful. So, to make it easy, to break it down into something easy, I have just 3 T's to talk about. So we have the technique, we have technology, and we have talent. And with these 3 anchor points, we will try and create a framework from which we can start discussing the transformative experience, which in itself is also a T, right? So let's talk about technique first. Okay, so technique, in a way, since we're talking about technology later, is very much things which are non-technological in nature as a focus. So preparing the audience is part of the technique. So when you want people to come into an event experience, it's not just the 2-3 days of the event that important as they are, okay, is the complete experience. So when we prepare the audience, the communications before the event, the messaging is also as important. Okay, so when you send them even things like save the dates, that's when the event experience begins. And you want to be very aware of that. You want to be aware that all the touch points that the end audience is going to be experiencing are well prepared. Okay, so prepare the audience, and because when they are receptive, all your hard work is better appreciated. So we talk about the design and delivery as something quite important as well. From design, everything from the programming is important. So the programming, how the flow of the event works. I believe you're speaking to professionals here today. You know what I'm talking about, right? So the flow of the event, the minute they start on the journey towards your event, in some cases, because we would sometimes also support them with their travel needs, to the time they arrive home. Okay, and the delivery of the event very much would be the experiences that they encounter, everything from the hotel venue, the food that they eat, the sights and sounds they encounter. This all comes under the delivery part. And this is where the secret sauce is really, because it's about the finesse of the team that delivers the event, because no two event companies will deliver the same event the same way.
Absolutely.
Yes, surely. So training, so we focus a lot on preparing the mindset of the people that are delivering the event as well. A bit more on that later, okay? So as part of the technique, okay, I bring you 3 S's. Okay, we have the singer, the song, the stage. These are all part of the technique that we include as a sub framework. So let's talk about, I mean, these are easy to remember as well, So nothing too complicated, and that's where it becomes an art, right? So for the singer, I believe some of you may recognize this gentleman. He is one of the top paid motivational speakers, gurus in the world. His name is Tony Robbins. He started off as a
Just a second, Daniel. I'm not able to see. Are you going through your presentation to the next one?
I am. It's an image.
Okay, I think that might not be going
Oh,
to the next one. Just try going to the slide, see if you are able to change the slide.
okay. Can you see this slide?
Okay, yeah, no, I think
Oh, shall I replay the slide share?
Yeah, please replay this slide and see whether this is on your desktop, because I'm only seeing the first page of the slide, which says transformative event experiences.
Oh, I
Yeah,
have been moving the slide for long.
no.
Okay, oh dear. Then there might have been something lost in.
Yeah, now, yes, now. Yeah, now if you can sort of zoom it up. Yeah, perfect. Oh yeah, we are there on the same page now. I think the audience would also able to see this if we missed out a couple of screens before. But
I
anyway,
see.
you said.
I see. So, are you seeing the slides moving now?
Yeah, I'm able to. So you can
Can.
go back and forth with your keyboards and see whether this is, can you go forward?
Okay, so we were just done with singer, song, and stage, and I was talking about Tony Robbins, right?
Sure.
Right. So you see now an image of Tony Robbins,
Yep.
Santosh?
Yep.
Right. So one of the highest paid speakers in the world, and he has audiences of thousands.
Mm-hmm.
So we talk about the singer. So basically preparing the speakers for your event, the people going on stage. That's part of the preparation. That's important because in many events, most people assume that the people going on stage can speak well. It's not always the case. It can even be the CEO of the company. The CEO can go on stage and the event can fall right flat because he may not be a native English speaker. I have clients from different nationalities, but when they're addressing an international audience, sometimes the the CEO just fails to inspire, and that's a wasted opportunity. Okay, so gently bring across, to the organizing team, the committee, that this is something that we want to work with them on as well. Okay, so we've got the singer, right? So that's an easy enough thing to understand. Then next, the song. Okay, one of my favorite movies, The Quirky Gardens of the Galaxy. So mixtape, right? So the song is very important, and if it's so good, it will stick in your head. So sometimes the songs just are impossible to get out of your mind, right? Because they are that catchy. So you want to catch the audience at the right time with the right media. So when I say song, it's the content, the multimedia as well. And preparing this well is important. There should be a flow. If you've been to a good orchestral performance, some pieces of music, they start light and then you build up and then it ends either with a bang or sometimes softly. Whatever it is, the intention is to make you remember. So bear this in mind as well as you create your event experience, so that when everything adds up together, it is memorable at the least, and then being memorable is key to being transformative.
Sure.
Next is the stage. So when we speak about the stage, we talk about
I think this slide is again not moving. I think this slide is not moving.
Oh,
just try. I think the keyboard is on, so it should because you're already broadcasting your deck.
yes.
It
Okay.
should.
Are you seeing the picture of the Esplanade right now?
I'm only
No.
seeing the singer now.
Oh, it's still on Tony Robbins. Unusual. That's okay. Resume share.
If you say the entire desktop, I think that would help you.
Share the entire desktop.
Yeah. This. Okay. So now when you're here,
you see this?
No, this window. Yeah, I see this now. So this came out, and it gets stuck in 111.
But every time I move the slide, it seems like it's not moving.
Some zoom. Yeah, let's try hard.
Let's try hard. Okay, let me stop the share. Maybe I try a new share.
Sure.
Okay, we are on this keynote. That's right. Share. Yep, doing all the right things. You should see this. Yep. I'm moving the slides, but let me try another approach. Instead of pressing play, let me just keep it here.
Or if you want, I can broadcast it from my window. You will be able to see.
I think that's better. Yeah.
Okay, let me do that.
Because you are the moderator, it might work better.
Okay, you can see now?
Yes, I can see. So we speak about stage And
So we
here you
speak
see,
our single song on stage, and
yes, so the picture of the Esplanade. So
yeah,
the destination is important, the venue is important, and that's the kind of experience when you bring an audience into a room to give them a kind of a wow feeling, you know, because if you typically hold a meeting, a conference in a traditional ballroom, is expected. You know, the mind, the body is not triggered to expect anything unusual out of the ordinary. But if your CEO has got a brand new message, maybe a new brand to launch, so the venue would be very critical in creating this sense of expectation and then the ability to receive the message. So of course there are many famous places around the world. You've got the Carnegie Hall, you've got the Royal Albert Hall. So these are places that if budget allows, I mean, even back home, you can look around, which are more unusual places to create the event within and around, explore those. So transformative can also be something that we feel is something that touches the heart very much. So we have created incentive experiences as well, where in fact, we always propose to our clients some degree of CSR where possible, where it makes sense within the program, corporate social responsibility. So in this case of bringing an incentive group of about 200 people to Nepal, we also worked with a charity organization for people with cerebral palsy,
yeah.
in partnership with the Rotary Club. So everything was also very professionally managed by the charity organization, because it's important to help legitimate charities. So as a quick side note, some are bogus charities set up not to help the end recipient. So
Authentic, real experiences, touching people's, the cause, around the event has to be, a bit of humanity and nature, and then bring some elements of connecting, back to the society. That's what you mean by, I believe.
yes, yes. Because when we say transformative, it's not just a single touch point. It is the entire range of experiences that affects that change, that shift. In the coaching world, we call it a paradigm shift. Not just a simple new perspective. It's not that. So we have technology next to talk about. Next slide. So we have worked with our clients to create, I mean, now the buzz is AR and VR, and you can see in this case, you can read the text, step inside to experience the future of water treatment. And here you see a gentleman who's sitting there. Ultimately, AR, VR is about taking people to places that they did not or cannot imagine being, and do not expect to be in as well. So it is that surprise that helps to create that memorability and transformative opportunity. So next slide. Here we have a picture of the universe. Of course, to view, this is the Andromeda galaxy. To view this, you need to be light years in space, but with AR, VR, you can do it. And this is an atom. So, you can go to the very macro and very micro, and this is what the technology allows you. Technology also allows you to see things from another perspective. So we utilize drone technology as well. This is a typical group photograph that we take. Taking the photograph with the drone is easy, trust me. Okay, it is getting these people organized that's not so easy. Okay, yeah. But the bringing them together is part of, again, all the touch points that you want to put together to effect that transformation. So talent is critical. Another T to emphasize. Next slide, please. So now when we talk about talent, it is not about the singer, the performer who's on stage. It is really about every single person who brings something to the event. It can be your receptionist. It can be the guy that serves the F&B. Typically, when we run a project, we have got team leads that cover the entire spectrum of the event experience, the registration, all the way through to, of course, the master of ceremonies who's on stage. So make sure that you connect with all of them and make them understand what the event is all about and what the key messaging is all about. Okay, so no one is no one is to be overlooked in this process. Okay, next slide.
It's a collective participation.
Completely.
It's a collective participation. Fantastic.
Completely. You cannot create a transformative event if you have a few of the stakeholders, the people on the team who are apathetic, Yeah. So the passion has to really shine through. Yeah. The next slide. So measurement of all this is important. Having said that, okay, because you want to be. I think we have defined transformative, and the important thing is then being able to measure it somewhat. Okay, measurement is not just a simple statistical issue in this case, but it's about what we discussed before: the positivity, the increase in productivity, the positive lifestyle changes, the integrated sustainability that's affected as a result of this transformative change. And this is something to be tracked only with an intention, with a longer term approach to doing this. It's not just filling in a survey saying, did this event transform your thinking? Most people would say, yes, if they were kind to the organizer, they would. After all, they may all belong to the same organization, but if you really want to track it, it's got to be through other less visible forms. And that's when you know if you're doing a great job.
And just to bring another point, when you talk about transformative, I'm surely, each of us are hosting hundreds of events or going or aware of 100 events. But then again, those 2 or 3 always brings us back, because there is something that happened there, right? We really enjoyed the experience there. It was absolutely contributed, in whatever goal that I had. So that means I'm able to relate to the brand or relate to the organizing team or relate to the people who were behind it, and I'm going to come back. So yes, there could be KPIs and all that that's going to derive, but I think the fundamentally is, as you're talking about, did it really impact, for the people that we all planned from the very starting end to end and bringing the entire team to deliver it out, right? I think that's the core messaging part of it, is that you definitely have to figure out a way that is unique and that has a definition of that. Yes, it has definitely transformed the way people came in. They understood certain concepts. They came for a conference. They came for a lifestyle related events, but it was an impactful. I'm sure a lot of these people take the words as more philosophical, but I think behind the philosophy there's a definitive derived data points to say, yeah, this is why I keep coming to this event host, isn't it?
That's right. We used Tony Robbins as an example earlier, and he's got a huge gathering, and people do listen to him again and again. And you do ask yourself, how much motivation does someone actually need? So one of the quotes that come to mind is from this entertainer called Zig Ziglar. So he says motivation doesn't last. That's the same reason why you have to shower every day, Yeah. So the transformative experience, I think, really is, don't see it just as a discrete event, but see it as a longer timeline.
Fantastic. So there we go. I think, so great, great insights. I think this is a quick one. Being professionals, we wanted to bring certain key points to this. You talked about a single stage and then the entire range of thoughts to bring differentiation into it, and the way you go about. And I took key points about collective participation, as you talked about. Not just one person or one stakeholder can do it. It has to be an entire, whether it's in a reception, whether it's a F&B. Just don't assume that it's going to happen just because somebody is a great CEO and has been giving talks and it's going to do a great job. So it's about sort of getting into this fully, planning it from the various stages. And as an event planner, or as a marketing professional, or as an event host, I think we have the equal responsibility or an opportunity equally to reach out people like you and other event planners to bring that kind of query saying, okay, how do we transform it? I'm not going to do the same state of the mill, similar thing. Can we be differentiate the way we approach, the way we will impact to the audience and build some sort of ongoing relationship, which we're going to prove time and again. It's not just one time done and just it, but how do we do it? And I believe, the way the world is moving forward, whenever you're coming up with an event, there are 5 other people who would come up and try to take the same concept. So the only differentiation is how well you did it, how transformative it was. Otherwise, you're going to soon lose, no matter whether you hold the IP of the event or you had a fantastic ROI from the event, but nobody can guarantee the next one. But if it is really transformative one with a detailed execution that was done by end-to-end planning, I think that will differentiate you and help you to continuously do better and better together, right? I think that's a gist that I take it, and I think that's the main essence of bringing you, Daniel, to hear you out. Because when we, as a platform provider, when we see a lot of people put their, hours and hours of effort, a lot of money that goes out into the event, it feels little, sad that the event didn't succeed, right? And as an event planner, we don't succeed unless the event hosts succeed, unless the industry succeed. So I think, we need to go out of the mindset of saying, yeah, the tool is going to make my event. The tool is just a tool. It's the people, it's the thought, it's the process, it's the planning that's going to make it happen. And I think I'm really passionate about it. I think, we should work together more around this kind of subjects in the industry to be talked about and create powerful IPs, powerful transformative experiences that event as a platform offers to connect to various parts of the world in various causes and movements too, right? So fantastic to hear you out. Let's open the Q&A and see if people found it, question to be asked, or if there is any other areas that they had thought. Happy to take on questions. Let's go see whether there are some Q&A. Yes. Yeah, I see there is somebody who says, if we hosting international artists, what thing we should keep in mind for a better experience? Ask that question, Daniel.
Should I answer live to answer this, right?
Yeah, you can go ahead. You can go ahead.
So Raj can hear us now, right? Hello, Raj.
Yeah. You can hear us.
Well, it's a rather broad question. Okay, when you're hosting an international artist, a better experience for the artist or a better experience for the audience? So you're asking that.
I would say.
So, but I'm guessing that it's for the audience, right? So I think it's if this is the first time the artist is performing in your home city or destination, it's important to prepare the artist. It may be the first time that they are maybe performing in Bangalore, if you're based in Bangalore, and they may not know the culture of the people, and they assume that New York and Bangalore, is all the same. It's not the same. Okay, you may be performing the same song, but it could be a different context. There could be certain things you shouldn't say, shouldn't do, shouldn't wear even on stage. So to make it a better experience for everyone overall, they should be well briefed. And if you are the event company that's bringing them into town for the first time, that responsibility is yours. If they're sensitive, they would ask. If they're not sensitive, they would just assume that it's just going to be another show. They turn up, they sing, collect the money, and go home. It's not that way. Yeah. So I hope that answers the question.
Fantastic. Let me see the chat because we have 2 options there. I'm just going to pull out the chat and see if there are any questions. Guys, we are around. Feel free to put your questions. Happy to hear you out, or even later on, if you want to share your questions, you can mail me at santosh@xplara. I'm happy to connect you to Daniel or forward the queries. Considering that his expertise in Europe and Southeast Asia is huge, I'm sure he would get more fantastic input from him for your plannings or your thought process into that. So let's stick around for a couple of minutes. Let's see if any other queries coming in, both in the chat and the Q&A. And then we're going to sort of close the conversation.
Okay. If I may ask the audience a question, you know, anyone here attended any event that was transformative that you'd like to share about?
Oh yeah, that's a fantastic one. Yeah, here is a query from the panelist, right? Have you attended any event that you felt fantastic transformative experiences and you just, you can't forget about it? You know, every time you go to an event, say, oh, that was fantastic. Anything like that? Anybody wants to talk about it or share about it? Let's see if anybody. Come on, guys. If anything, go ahead.
Yep, go ahead.
Ones that any event that you attended and you felt very different experiences, you know, that I have been. So let me take the initiative on my side. And I have been to a couple of ones, but I think I went to one of the TEDx event long back. It was absolutely mesmerizing. The reason I loved it is that people, the speakers who came there were absolutely briefed. Their subjects were thoroughly researched and thoroughly engaging, you know, and they, after that 30 minutes, 20 minutes, when you sit down in a session and come back, you say, oh, you know what? Oh my God, I got to learn on this subject a lot. And it really motivated me back to saying, okay, let me research about it, right? Because even it's not just an end of a day or a relationship to go out and say, oh, I paid, you know, $50. I'm going to have my time and that's it. No, it's something that you take it out from there, right? Whether it's a network, whether you met a fantastic person that you built a relationship thereafter, or a concept that you got to know about it and that got you engaged in your business or in your own personal professional endeavor. I think TEDx was definitely motivating, and there were another festival here called Startup Festival or a Construct Festival. That was fantastic. Like 3,000 people came in with, you know, a lot of people who were participating, very engaging sessions. So it's not just the speaker only. So if you have speaker session, you can go in. It's a festival, or if you can come back to small, areas where there are debates and topics. I really loved those because that challenged you to not waste your time on specific, kind of topics that is not interesting to you, but drives you to certain ones where you think, yeah, I can contribute here. I can I can ask questions, whatever is in my mind, right? And even talk on certain topics. So those are the two examples. I think more people came in. Somebody says, how much technology plays a key role in organizing a successful event? And another question came in saying, just a conference, or it can be a musical, or it can be even a music concert. There you go, Daniel, please.
Well, let's answer Pritpal first. So technology plays only a role, not the most key of roles. It depends very much on your audience and the messaging, the topics, the content of the event. If it's a very tech-heavy event, then of course you expect to see a lot of tech. And then that's the danger of neglecting the non-tech aspects. And if it's, for example, okay, in many countries around the world, you know, I mean, we've got registration, great systems like Explara that exist to be used for registration, event management. And let's say you had an audience of 1,000 doctors that you want to invite to your event. And then you send them all this link, and then you're just sitting there wondering, why is no one registering for my event? Because the culture of the country and the people, okay, is not attuned to using the technology. So you still need to have your sales managers pick up the phone, meet them in person, invite them personally to your event. Okay, so that's one example of how technology is not always critical. And in fact, if you just rely on technology, your event is not going to happen. No one will turn up. On the other hand, when the people are already in the field, in your event space, okay, the technology has to be, you know, sometimes to make it art, it cannot be so obvious. You know, sometimes you want to listen to beautiful music without seeing huge speakers sometimes where the music's coming from. You know, that's where it becomes a thing of art, a thing of finesse. So I'll say use technology wisely. You know, it can be a very good servant, but a very bad master. I mean, so don't be mastered by the technology. Yeah. So that's my take on the technology. Okay, because it's again a very broad question. There are many aspects of technology that we can talk about for sure, but the key thing is to master the technology. Okay, don't think that just by stuffing all kinds of technology into your event that is going to be successful. It is no guarantee. And as another question, just the conference, and can it be a music concert? It can be any event, you know. I think in the context of India, the event of the Kumbh Mela comes to mind, right? This is an event that attracts millions of people and it's transformative. I mean, imagine you're a pilgrim, you have walked for thousands of miles, or you have traveled for hundreds of miles, even by car, by train, by foot. And the process itself transforms you. You know, maybe you didn't have discipline, and after doing it, you have more discipline. And then you go into the sacred river and you emerge transformed. Something has transformed along the way, and it's a takeaway that lasts, I would say, till maybe the next Kumbh Mela festival, and then you have them coming back again, repeating the process. So, and it's another point of view that I didn't bring into this because it is a religious event, but I would say the same approach can be applied. The same frameworks that I have shared with everyone today can be applied in making it transformative. Yeah. The different thing about religious events is people go there with a strong expectation of a certain, so you see the expectation, they have prepared themselves, in other words, to be transformed, and that in itself is important. Yeah.
Fantastic. So I think when we were querying, Raj came back again when we asked the query to audience saying, is there any event that they have found transformative? I think Raj has answered on a chat, not on the Q&A, but on the chat says, RISE yearly conferences. So RISE, RISE yearly conferences, they used various technologies and, you know, to transform user experiences every year. So Raj is, you know, sharing that as his experience, saying RISE has been something that he loved attending. He finds it very, very transformative. Fantastic. Oh yeah. Somebody says you've been an event junkie or a recent entrant. Yeah, go ahead, talk about it.
Well, I can answer the second part, you know. Not a recent entrant at all, being close to 2 decades. Yeah. I wouldn't say I'm an event junkie, but because event junkie implies a certain lack of quality control, you know. Yeah. So I would say that I believe in the power of events to transform thought, to be a positive force for society, for the world. And that's why after 15 years, I'm still helping people create meaningful events. Of course, the word meaning in itself is loaded with meaning. It's, you know, one man's meaning is another man's fluff. So find your own meaning. You know, if you want to stay long in this industry, you really have to QC yourself. Because if you were, you know, too much into events that you eventually found not meaningful, not fulfilling, yeah, you wouldn't be as motivated. That would be a shame.
You're going to get bored by yourself.
Indeed, and you'll be creating events that basically go down the level of utility for your audience as well. You know, yeah.
It has to be meaningful. You need to come back and say every conversation has to be a new conversation with a meaningful contribution to that. Otherwise, you're going to, you know, lose your passion, and then you're just going to close it. I don't think anybody can stay in any business or any profession longer unless they change themselves and change for the occasion that they have been asked for.
Indeed.
Right. Super. So I think we had a fantastic, you know, Q&A. People definitely queried questions. Guys, I think that's all right now. We've spent 45 minutes close to. This is supposed to be a 30 minutes thing. And thanks so much, Daniel, for, you know, being part of this. Love this conversation. So for the audience, this is going to be recorded and hosted on explorer.com/resources and webinar shortly within a week's time. I will take permission from Daniel and put these slides, whichever part is publicly discoverable, and do it. We will set it so that you can use Daniel's framework to to brainstorm and reach out. Daniel is socially active on professional networks, so please feel free to reach out to him on LinkedIn and many other parts. I'm keenly bringing this with a sheer mindset, saying let's connect the world in various dots. No one country or location does it perfect, and I think we all can learn from each other and make the world a better place. That's the motivation. So that's the whole philosophy behind hosting this global event, Success Webinars. Thank you everybody for being part of this. I love to come back with a new webinar in the coming months. And to Daniel, thanks once again for sharing your time and thought, Daniel.
My pleasure.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Santosh. Thank you, everyone.